Good morning, Representative Clark. What a thrill to meet you.
Oh, so nice to be with you, Stephanie.
I see you on TV, and I'm like, she's fantastic. And now here you are. But they,
Well, it's a very small silver lining of this
Yeah.
pandemic is that we get to meet.
I know. Well, listen. You tweeted outrageous but tragically consistent, talking about that the White House officials say President Trump will not reopen the Obamacare exchanges to allow uninsured Americans to purchase health coverage during the pandemic. You said we're in the middle of a public health emergency. Trump should be doing everything he can to increase health care access for Americans. Were you as troubled as I was, Representative Clark, by Pence's sort of non-answer about, what about people that are uninsured? And they're going, oh, we're going to do better. We're going to do a cash payment. I'm like, a cash payment instead of ongoing health insurance? Like, how is that an answer to this?
Yeah, it's not an answer, and it is unfortunately tragically consistent. What we have seen from the Republicans across the aisle, led by this White House, is a full-throated effort to shut down the ACA, take away health care from millions of Americans. While this pandemic is raging, they are still pursuing their lawsuit to undo the ACA, and they refused, just a few days ago, they refused again to open up enrollment to make sure that people can get the treatment they need. If they are not responding to how we need to get health care to every single American during this pandemic, I'm not sure what will ever get them to do it. But I can tell you that we are going to continue to push and call this out. We were able to push them into getting free testing for the coronavirus for every single American, whether you had private insurance, public insurance, or no insurance at all. And we have to do that for treatment.
Right.
And take this moment to evaluate where we are with our healthcare system and how we can never let this happen again.
Representative Clark, yeah, that's his answer was, oh, we're insurance companies are saying there will be no charge. They've already said there'll be no charge for testing and for treatment, which is what, as you say, you've been pushing for. But then again, the reporter kept saying, but what about people that are uninsured? And it just this non-answer about the cash payment. I don't understand. I mean, again, that is not an answer, and I can't think of any other answer except that it's monstrous to just for politics say you're not going to open up the exchanges during a pandemic. I just can't. I don't know what other answer there is. To go a one-time payment does not keep someone insured, right?
We cannot sacrifice our American lives on the altar of their political ideology around health insurance. Health insurance is a right, not a privilege. But that is not the belief of the White House, and it is going to play out very tragically for Americans during this pandemic.
Well, when you look at those twin things, Representative Clark, they disbanded the Obama pandemic response unit, right? They ignored, the playbook from the Obama administration, who, as we recall, we had 2 deaths of Ebola under Obama's leadership, and this is just so between that and them trying to unroll Obamacare both in court and then not expanding, right? That twin thing. I mean, the human cost of that is just going to be staggering, right?
That's right. And, we have to make sure that they drop this lawsuit. And, it was just a few weeks ago that I sit on the Appropriations Committee that we were looking at the proposal from Secretary Azar to cut $700 million out of the CDC. The CDC has been sounding the alarm around the potential for pandemics in this country for years. And when you have an administration that fundamentally doesn't believe in science, doesn't believe in supporting public health, it puts us into this pandemic already behind. And we have to do everything we can to make sure that we are making those investments, that we are not only funding research into a vaccine and how we can reduce infection rates and into the best treatments, but we have to also be focused on American workers who are just being hit so severely financially. And I had a town hall, a teletown hall with thousands of my constituents last night, and the stories of the businesses that are closed, people's concern for their, not only how are they going to make the bills right now, but what does the future look for them as they are tapping their 401ks to get through this period. We are looking at a period of great economic upheaval, and what we can't withstand is the mixed messaging coming from this White House. We need the White House to choose to stand on the side of the American people, help them get the treatment they need, help our healthcare workers get the equipment they need, and help our economy recover by focusing on those small businesses and the workers of America.
And Representative, thank you, and Speaker Pelosi and all of you that are, working, as you say, for the American people to not make this a $500 billion slush fund. You tweeted after being pushed by Democrats, the administration will provide Social Security beneficiaries with automatic payments without requiring them to file a separate form. Now the administration needs to do the same for our veterans and those who receive SSI. On behalf of my 97-year-old mom who's on Social Security, thank you. I mean, it just, like you say, and I'm a small business trying to navigate that today. And of course, that's a disaster so far as it's administered by this Trump administration. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Social Security is a perfect example. Why at this time would you choose to make people on Social Security go through the hoops of filing an extra tax form? And that's the fact that we have to push them to make these decisions, and they still haven't expanded it to SSI and to some of the veteran programs is an outrage.
Right.
And what we are anticipating today, you cannot cut funding for the SBA. You cannot put out over the past, decade, and you cannot put out very technical regulations the night before these loans are going live, and expect our lenders who want to make these loans to be ready for the demand that is going to come in today.
Yeah.
We need this administration to do better, to stop with the theatrics of this. This is not a political rally.
Yeah.
These are American lives. This is our economic life for the future. And
don't I know it? I'm on the phone right now with the vice chair of the Democratic Caucus, and I have to get off the phone to get my small business loan in a second here. So,
right.
We were just doing this headline this morning: 5,500 tests, coronavirus tests touted by the Trump administration. There's only 5,500 being deployed for the entire country. So everything, of course, we're being told, whether it's about testing, Representative Clark, or ventilators, is, wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's he's still blaming states and saying, I love someone's tweet. They said, hey, remember when the 50 states landed 50 separate armies at the beach in Normandy, and then the federal government was just the backup and kept most of the military supplies for themselves? Remember that? I mean, they are not supposed to be the backup. They're the ones with the intelligence that should have warned the states, as they were warned that this was coming, that should have, they are supposed to be the shipping clerk. It isn't supposed to work this way, right? 50 states bidding against each other and FEMA. Meanwhile, people in New York will die this weekend, very likely, because there aren't enough ventilators, right? I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It has deadly consequences, and it's the federal government's responsibility to look after all Americans, not leaving them bidding against each other. And the quote from Jared Kushner keeps playing through my head when he talked about that the federal stockpile is our stockpile. What is he saying? This is for the American people.
It's for the United States of America. That's when you say
right.
"our," it is for the states, right?
It is for the states, and we have to have a better way of doing the needs assessment, letting states know when they're going to receive this life-saving equipment, instead of the system that has developed where governors are told they're on their own, they're bidding against the federal government, and they're losing. They are, finding themselves in situations where people are taking advantage of this pandemic and having states bid against each other, saying orders will be fulfilled that
profiteering. I mean, New York is paying
profiteering.
15 times the cost they're supposed to pay for certain items and still can't get enough.
And still can't get them.
I want to say, by the way, we're all programmed to not like the Patriots, but thank God for anybody. You tweeted, frontline Massachusetts frontline workers will receive over 1 million N95 masks to keep our brave providers and their patients safe. We are all Patriots. Thank you. So,
well, we know that the Patriots aren't always the country's favorite, but that generosity is going to save lives.
Yep.
That's not the way this is supposed to work.
Thank you.
That is the role of the federal government to be administering this. And that's why the Speaker has called for an oversight board now, and why Chuck Schumer has asked that a czar be put in place. We need a logistics expert to help states. And the attitude we're seeing from the White House is you're all on your own, and good luck. But, we will be continuing to give out mixed messages, to be, personally attacking governors who are trying to save the lives of all Americans.
Yeah.
It should be the joint priority with this White House, and I cannot understand why they don't see that.
Representative, can I quickly? I wish I had you longer. Obviously Democrats talking about postponing their convention till August. But we'll see if even that is able to happen. Correct. But my main concern, I guess, is voting. Ari Berman, our friend, tweeted, "What's happening in Wisconsin is an absolute travesty. The state won't delay the April 7th election, and the Republican legislature is refusing to mail ballots to every voter in order to protect right-wing state Supreme Court seats. This is voter suppression on steroids." Trump and company are starting to say this out loud. When they let more people vote, they can't have that because it hurts Republicans, right? I mean, and that's what
right. And this was something that we pushed for very hard in the CARES Act, that we get $4 billion to states to help them develop mail-in programs so that we can protect the vote, not only in the primaries that are still coming up, but in the election in November. And it should be noted that the Republicans absolutely refused to put that provision in. There was some funding. It is nowhere near adequate to do the type of mail-in programs that we need states to be undertaking. We are going to continue to push on that. It is one of our priorities going into this fourth package. We cannot come out of this having lost thousands of American lives, ruining our economy through this coronavirus, and let people take down our democracy as well.
Representative Clark, thank you so much. I loved your tweet. My heartfelt thank you for staying home. We need a national stay-at-home order. As you say, that is what's slowing the spread. We need more leadership like yours. The main export of Massachusetts, obviously, awesome women like Elizabeth Warren and Katherine Clark.
Yes.
Wish we had more of you. Thank you so much. What a thrill to meet you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Please be well, and all your listeners, too.
You too. Thanks so much, Representative.